Well, I say we're ready to get going here. This session is A11, Conversion Reversion for HDR and RSS secondary servers. And Apoorv, if you're ready.
Yeah.
At any time.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the attendees. My name is Apoorv, and I'm working with HCL for past 3 years in the enterprise application domain. And this topic will be about conversion for HDR and RSS secondary servers. So, yeah, let's go ahead with it. I'll turn off my camera and go ahead with the presentation. And in case you have any questions in between, I would request you to wait till end. This is going to be a short presentation, so we will have ample time later. Okay.
So y'all just put your questions in the chat and we'll see them later.
Sure. This is the standard disclaimer. And let's go ahead. So the agenda will be divided in two sections. First one will be the background on what things we are going to talk about. And the second one is how the process will be if you want to convert your secondaries. And in the background, we will go through what was there previously and is there, and now the new functionality which is being introduced in 14.10. Okay. The last thing about reversion, it is not supported. So I have put it in the agenda itself so that it is clear throughout the presentation. Okay. And on the term you see here, conversion guard, I will just give you a brief on what that is. So it's a parameter to specify whether Informatics server stops or continues an upgrade to a new version if an error occurs during the upgrade process. Okay, and it has 3 values, 0, 1, and 2. 2 being the default one. 0 is disabled. 1 is it enables the restore point as part of upgrade and stops in case an error occurs during the process. And 2 means it also enables the restore point as part of upgrade, but it continues even if there is an error in capturing the restore point. Okay. Since this is mainly about HDRRSS, I will also include the process for SDS, which is very trivial, but we'll see that in the later part. Okay. So moving ahead. So let's go back to what was there during 11 time frame, and when we did not have these new functionalities with us. In case of conversions, you had to take down your entire cluster and then convert your primary to the new binary, new version, and then turn it on, and then later on you convert one secondary one by one to the new version, and then you had to reinitialize the process, reinitialize your cluster using the on tape or on bar utilities to take a backup and then restore, and then using onmode -d commands to set up your secondary servers. Okay. So as the new versions keep coming, the HA has evolved in the conversion process. New things have come up, but this initial thing was a bit of time consuming, tedious process. And if you had large backups to be transferred to your secondary for restoration, it would have been a tedious process, right? So after this, moving on, from 1170, Informatics Server 1170 onwards, we introduced something called Interversion Upgrade. So interversion is when you upgrade between major versions like 1170 to 1210 or to 1410. Okay. So even in this process, you had to reinitialize all your secondaries, but this was comparatively better compared to what was there before. Okay. So this in this we had a CDR utility function called sec2er, which what it used to do was to convert an high availability cluster to an HA grid. So as we know that in an HA cluster, all the servers, all the instances are supposed to be on the same platform, same OS, and same Informix version. But in an ER domain, you can have various flavors of Informix versions and different OS, even different platforms, right? So all the servers were basically independent. So this utility used to convert the HA cluster into an ER grid, and then in the ER grid, you can independently upgrade your servers one by one. But after this, you had to again convert your original server into primary and then reinitialize your secondaries to come back to your HA cluster. Okay. We also call it as a rolling upgrade across major versions. We do have a rolling upgrade thing in the later slides, which is for the fixed pack to fixed packs upgrade. But this you can consider as across major versions. Okay. The process is when you move your cluster to ER, you upgrade your primary, bring it back to your HA cluster, you upgrade your secondaries, and then reinitialize back to the HA clusters. Okay. This method is still available and used to convert to upgrade from to higher to the major versions. Okay. Now moving on to a further upgrade on this. In 12.10 XE5, we introduce intraversion upgrade, which we also call as the rolling upgrade functionality. Okay. So rolling upgrade is what it meant was you can only upgrade from your fixed pack to the immediate fixed pack, like from 12.10 XE4 to 12.10 XE5, or from XE5 to XE6. You could not skip fixed packs in between. So you cannot go from XE4 to XE6 directly. It was just for the immediate fixed pack. Okay. And the limitation was you cannot go back to, so this is, as the term said, it is rolling upgrade. You do not have a rolling back thing in this. It is mainly for the upgrade process. And since it was introduced in XE5, 12.10 XE5, the lowest fixed pack supported here is 12.10 XE4. So from 12.10 XE4, you can upgrade to 12.10 XE5. And the process here was, again, you had to bring down your primary and upgrade it to the new version. But what happens there is your once you bring up your primary after update, your secondaries will still be in your cluster. Even though you will see a mismatch in the fixed pack, they are still in the clusters, right? So they are available. Then after that, you will start converting your secondaries one by one. You will bring them down, you will upgrade the binaries, set the on-config parameters to the correct values, and then bring up your secondaries. So in this case, the benefit is you do not have to reinitialize your secondaries. You do not have to go through the on bar, on tape, or the on mode commands to reinitialize or bring them back to the clusters. Once they are upgraded, they will be in the HA cluster automatically. Okay. So the limitation is you can only move to an immediate fixed pack. You cannot skip to a next fixed pack, or this is not for moving to different versions of Informix to the major versions, like from 12.10 to 14.10. So that was a limitation. Now, suppose this is what we have seen now. Now, what if you want to you have a need to upgrade to a major version, or you want to skip fixed pack while upgrading? So the previous things you had to take an outage, you need to bring down your clusters, and you need to reinitialize your secondaries to reestablish your HA cluster, right? Or the second thing was using sec2er, converting your HA cluster to a ER domain, and then individually upgrading your servers and then bringing them back to your HC cluster after reinitializing the secondaries, right? So that was painful, tedious process, time-consuming process. So moving, fast forwarding to 1410XE4, what we have introduced is called offline HDRRSS conversion for major upgrades. Okay, so here you can skip fixed packs, you can move to major versions, move between major versions, right? And you do not have to rebuild your secondaries. You do not have to reinitialize them, right? And this is not rolling upgrade, so this is not fixed pack to immediate fixed pack, right? This is for major versions. And as I said in the agenda slide itself, there is no reversion supported here, or you cannot even go back to any other Informix version, even if it's the original one you moved from. So one thing we want to strongly recommend here is setting the conversion guard functionality before you attempt to do conversions using this new functionality. Because in case there is an error in the upgrade, you want to restore back to your original server and may want to retry, right? You do not want to lose or basically fail again. So what happens with conversion guard here is it will help you to diagnose your problems during the upgrade failures. Okay. So it's as said, it's a one-way process. There is no reversion here. And if you want, and this is supported from 1170 XE1 to 1410 XE4. So if you are upgrading from say 1170 to 1410 XE3, it is not supported. You have to upgrade it to XE4 or later versions to use this functionality. Okay. But here you still need to take your instances offline, but not all at once. Only the ones you are upgrading. So first you take your primary down. After you have converted your primary, you take your secondary down. So it is one by one. Other servers still remain available. So moving on to the next slide. This is how the process is, how you actually go through converting your this or HDR secondaries. Okay. So first thing is when you want to convert your HDR or RSS, you need to disable FOC, the failover control. This is because once you bring down your primary, your secondaries might get promoted, right? So you want to avoid that. So it's best to disable the FOC setting in your on config, and after making sure that you have set conversion guard on your instances, you start this conversion process. So first thing is you bring down your primary server. What happens here is once you bring down your primary, your secondaries, even if there are updatable secondaries, the DML operations will be blocked on those updatable secondaries. So you will still be able to run your read operations, but the DML operations like insert, update, delete will be blocked on your updatable secondaries. But these will still be available to your applications for read operations. Okay. So once your primary is down, you can upgrade it to the new version by setting the onConfig parameters, pointing to the new version binary, and then restarting it. So once your primary server is up, what happens is it will go through the usual in-place upgrade by changing your sysmasters or system pages based on the conversion required, right? And all those things will be logged in the logical logs. So one thing I missed telling is you need to make sure that you have enough space for your logical logs before starting this process. So once you start your primary, the conversion process will log all the process in the logical logs. Okay. In case you see a failure, thanks to setting the conversion guard, you will be able to roll back those changes using your on restore pt command. And once you have rolled back, you can try again fixing the issues that you see in your conversion card process, and then you can retry, right? So you will have this restore point here where you can see what caused this issue, and then you can fix those issues and try again. So once your primary is back, and then we will start converting the secondaries. Before that, in case there are any user connections or sessions, those will be blocked during the conversion process on each instances, right? So you will not have any new incoming connections allowed or the current ongoing connections to perform the operations. Now moving on to secondaries. Once you have converted your primary or upgraded your primary to the new binary, you start doing conversion on your secondaries. So here you will, so before starting conversion on secondaries, one thing you need to see is after you have upgraded your primary server, your secondaries will see that the primary is up. Your primary will see that the secondary servers are there. The secondaries will try to connect to the primary, but they will not be able to do so because there will be a version mismatch, right? So as the HA domain says, all the instances should be on the same configuration. But once the primary is upgraded, secondary and primary do not match, and that is due to the global version IDs we have inside the instances, which are mainly responsible for the rolling upgrades thing. So when you say fix pack to fix pack rolling upgrades, we do check those global version IDs to make sure that we are not skipping the fix packs. And also when we have these primary and secondaries on different versions, we need to make sure that they are actually on the same configuration. So secondaries will not be able to connect here. So then you will start converting your secondaries. You will take down one secondary at a time, upgrade it to the new version binary, and make the necessary on-config changes, and you will restart it. Once you restart and the conversion has been done, what will happen is it will send a notification to the primary that it has converted. The primary will check, primary and the secondary will have a handshake checking if the log sequences are in sync. If they are not, this primary will send the logical logs to the secondary, and those will be applied to make them in sync, right? In case there is a failure, then the same process goes due to the configuration guard setting, the conversion guard setting. You might be able to diagnose what is the issue, and then roll back using on restore pt command, fix your issues, and then you can retire the process. So once all the successful conversion is done and the logs are in sync, there is an instance-wise checkpoint is forced using onboard -c. Okay, so what happens is it will make sure that primary, secondary, all the committed changes are brought to the secondary, and it is up to date. Okay, so by this process, you convert your secondary, and then it should be able to connect back to primary since the versions will be same, and it will be fully functional. Okay, so this process has to be repeated for all the secondaries in your HA cluster, all the HDRRSS secondaries. Once all the secondaries are brought to the same version as primary, and all the log sequencing is done, all the servers are in sync, you want to turn back your FOC settings back so that you have your actual behavior as earlier, and your failover configuration is as you want it to be. Okay, and so what we see in this process is you do not have to reinitialize your secondary servers. You do not have to take backup from your primary, restore it on your secondaries, and then reinitialize those as secondary HDR or RSS, right? All that process is what you can do away with. So this was about how you convert your HDR and RSS. Now let's talk about how you do it for the SDS. So SDS server, as we know, it shares the disk with the primary. So we need to make sure that if there are any SDS servers in your edge cluster, those should be the first ones to be brought down, right? Because since we are converting the primary first, that is going to affect your SDS servers. So the first thing you got to do is bring down your SDS servers, and then you do the usual conversion process of your primary and HDRRSS server conversion. Once all your primary and other secondaries are converted in operational, then you upgrade your SDS server to the new version, making all the on-config changes, and then you restart. And that's it. You are done with your SDS server upgrade. Won't be any conversion involved here because the disk is same, right? You share the same disk with your primary. So that was all about the conversion of the secondaries in HA. And since all the primary and secondary servers are converted, congratulations, your HA cluster is upgraded without having to rebuild the secondary servers. So with this, I'm happy to take up any questions. And I also want to just give thanks to Nagraju and Carlton for being my source of content for this presentation. I'm open for questions.
We'll give people a few minutes to start typing.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, type them into the chat and we'll get them answered.
Okay. I hope I was audible because I see a comment saying moving closer to microphone.
I can hear you fine, so I don't think it was a widespread problem.
Okay.
So I think you're okay.
Okay.
Anybody for questions? Oh, there we go. Got one.
I see a question. Is this available since 1210 for FC4? What about 1410? Yeah, so the new offline conversion is available from 1410 XC4, not the 1210 FC4. Hope that answers. Yeah.
Anybody else? Type away.
I see a question relevant to the audit. I'm not really sure on that question.
Philippe, do you need to clarify that? Is that a question or just a rhetorical question? Type away, we'll see who we see.
Audit for the exam. Which exam? Is it the 1410 certification?
Yeah, I assume that's what he's talking about, and I don't know the answer. I don't know if you know that answer.
Yeah, if it is 1410 certification, I believe this is relevant. Okay, I guess there are no more questions here.
No, unlike the last session, this time you get out early.
Okay.
All right.
So, you
Thanks,
guys can connect with me on my mail ID in case you want any further questions or you think something comes up in your mind later. Philip, you may want to connect. Maybe I can help you offline on this.
And if anybody has questions or lacks email, send an email to conference@iiug.org, and one of us will get you pointed in the right direction. Thanks, Apoorv. We appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank
See
you
you at
very
1
much.
o'clock.